Most people didn't buy a bad 9mm. They bought a story, and I've done it too. I've stood at the range trying to convince myself I liked a gun I didn't even enjoy shooting. Already paid for it, already talked it up, so now you're stuck. New trigger, different plate, more mags, another holster, same excuse every time. It just needs break-in. It didn't. I knew it early. Just didn't want to admit I got it wrong. That's how it starts. One more part. One more tweak. One more trip hoping it finally feels right. And it still doesn't. After a while, you're not even shooting the thing anymore. You're defending it. These pistols didn't do that to me. That's the difference. One of them looked wrong on paper and still embarrassed guns that cost more. And the one at the top? I stopped looking after that. I was one bad decision away from another serious gun I would have defended for months. The HK VP9 stopped that in my hand. It happened at a counter, not a range. I had two pistols in front of me that looked like the right answer. Both felt impressive for about 5 seconds. Then the little friction showed up. The grip angle felt like work. The trigger felt like a negotiation. I could already hear myself saying the same lines later. Break-in. Different ammo. Maybe it is the mags. That is the moment where the parts pile gets born. I put them down and picked up the VP9. The argument ended fast. It sat in my hand like it was already sorted. The sights lined up without me hunting. The trigger did not feel like a surprise waiting to happen. I did not start planning a new shoe, new tape, new anything. That was the whole difference. It did not ask me to pay again after I bought it. That is why people end up buying it without trying to. It does not sell a fantasy. It removes the need to defend the receipt. VP9 kept me out of the parts pile. That saved money. Still, it did not cover everything that mattered. The stuff above it showed up later, after the honeymoon died, and the excuses got quiet. The Glock 43 XMOS did not win me over at the range. It won me over in the doorway. I had keys in my hand, shirt already on, belt already threaded, and I still stopped and stared at the bigger pistol like I owed it something. It was the one that shot nicer, the one that felt serious, the one I told myself I carried. Then I heard the truth in my own head. Not today. So I grabbed the 43X. No big scene, just a normal day that turned annoying. Sitting down, getting up, leaning over, reaching across the truck, sweat building, shirt shifting. The kind of day where a bad carry choice makes you fidget like you got caught. That day stayed quiet. No waistband wrestling, no shirt dragging, no constant touch check, like I was trying to hide a mistake. Later, I dumped everything on the counter and realized something simple. I did not think about the gun all day. It still did not feel like a cheat code when I shot fast. Fine. The ugly part was this. The better gun stayed home again. And once that started happening, the list got meaner because the next one was not about comfort at all. It was about not getting embarrassed after the first few hundred rounds when good enough started costing real money. Last month, I almost did the thing people never admit. I almost left the Ruger Security 9 behind. It was one of those truck days where everything rubs. Seatbelt dragging across the grip. Sweat making the holster feel sharper in and out until the belt line starts talking back. I was irritated, and the last thing I needed was a gun that wanted attention. Then the moment hit. Shirt shifted, the Security 9 moved a hair, and my hand went down on instinct like I was covering a mistake. That touch check was not awareness. It was the first step toward the console carry lie. The Security 9 was supposed to be the simple choice. The cheap one you do not overthink. It earned its spot because it did not turn that day into a fight. It rode flat, stayed put, and stopped the checking. No tugging the hem, no readjusting, no mirror math. By the time I got home, the irritation was still there, but it was not coming from the gun. Most carry failures are not malfunctions, they are annoyance. And once annoyance is gone, the list gets meaner. Because the next pick is not about comfort. It is about control when recoil starts moving the gun, and good enough stops being cute. A few weeks back at the range, I watched something I had done myself, more times than I like to admit. First, ugly string, then the excuses started showing up. Ammo, grip, mags. Break-in. same pattern. He was saying it out loud, but I had heard it in my own head plenty of times. I slid the Beretta PX4 Storm across the bench like I was tired of hearing it. Not a speech, not a lesson, just run this. He almost smiled at it, like it was too weird to be the answer. Then he loaded up and did what he always did, tried to muscle the gun and talk his way through it. The PX4 did not give him much to argue with. The recoil came back different, calmer, like it wanted to stay on track. His follow-ups quit spraying. The loud blaming stopped because there was nothing left to hang it on. He was still the same shooter, same hands, same bad habits, but the gun stopped feeding the drama. It was not trendy, it was corrective. It turned a guy who kept buying serious pistols into a guy who finally shut up and shot. He set it down and said, I should have bought this first. Then he just sat there for a second. Pawn shop last month in my town. I walked in to kill 10 minutes and act like I was just looking. Same lie everybody tells. Then I saw the Hellcat Pro in the case, with the stuff sitting with it. Extra mags, a holster. The pieces people always buy later, after they swear they will not. The price tag sat there like it was nothing. Like it was just another used gun. My brain tried to talk me out of it. Nah, something's wrong. If it was that good, it'd be gone. I asked the guy behind the counter what the story was, and he shrugged like it was normal. That shrug bothered me. Either somebody made a dumb decision, or somebody got scared of carrying a gun they could actually shoot. I stood there long because I knew what happens when I pass on deals like that. I buy the clean pistol somewhere else. Then I go home and open tabs, mags, holster, plates, shipping, another order, another one more thing. With this one, I did not open the tab, did not price parts, did not plan fixes. I walked out and felt good for 5 minutes. Then the other thought showed up. Why did the last guy let it go? I have had the Wilson Combat EDC X9 for a year, and it still feels like the most irresponsible, smart thing I ever bought. The price hit like a punch, not because I could not pay it, because I knew what usually happened after expensive buys. The quiet rot. Tabs open at night, comparing. Trying to convince myself I did not get played. I expected that familiar sickness in my stomach, the one that shows up after the receipt cools off. It never came. A year later, the EDC X9 has not turned into a project. No parts pile, no chasing a trigger. No, maybe this holster fixes it. No optics rabbit hole to make it feel complete. It has stayed finished. Every time I picked it up, it felt the same. That consistency is the real smart buy context. Most pistols cost less upfront and then charge you later in little payments. Mags, fixes, swaps, trade-in loss, and the money you burn trying to force yourself to love it. This one did not do that. The money hurt once, and then it got quiet. And the guilt did not come from what I spent. The guilt came from how many times I tried to be smart by spending less, and still ended up paying again, just slower, with a worse feeling attached to it. It was a Saturday morning match outside San Antonio. Heat already sitting on the ground by 9. I was on the line, timer beeping, and the guy 2 stages over was already running. Worn boots, plain shirt, Canik in a basic holster. No patches, no gear speech. I clocked it and went back to my own stage. I should have stayed focused. I didn't. His splits were pulling my eye every time I reset. Clean. No drama. A-zone after A-zone, like the decision was already made before the trigger broke. I caught myself checking my own splits after that, and I did not love what I was thinking. The guy next to him had spent serious money on a name I recognized. Similar stance, similar build. His hits were scattered, and he was already building his excuse before the last steel fell. I drove home quieter than I expected. Not because the Canik won some argument, because I kept thinking about what I was carrying and what it cost, and whether I could honestly say the gap was real, or whether I had just paid to feel like it was. That sat with me longer than it should have, and I didn't like what it said about what I was carrying. Last month, I ran the M&P 9 2.0 Compact, in a condition I should not brag about. I had been busy, I had not cleaned it, I knew it was overdue, and I still tossed it in the bag, like I was daring it to call me out. That was the test. Not a torture test. A normal life test. Lint, dust, old oil smell, the little grit that shows up when discipline disappears. I loaded a mag and half expected the first string to feel different, moodier, pickier, something that would make me start blaming ammo, mags, anything except the obvious. It did not. The first mag felt boring. The gun came back the same way it always did. No warning signs that made me slow down and start negotiating with it. I caught myself mid-string thinking about something else, and that was the point. It stayed predictable when I was not. It is not the flashy pick. Fine. A smart gun is not supposed to entertain. It is supposed to keep working when life gets sloppy and still make you feel guilty about it afterward. And the next pick was the opposite kind of smart. Not forgiveness, the kind that shut the noise down and made shopping feel stupid. I walked in telling myself I was just looking, but I already knew what I usually did. Tabs later, videos later, comparing later. The slow little research spiral where I kept trying to buy confidence instead of a gun. Then I picked up the IWI Masada and the noise shut off. No internal argument. No, what about this other one? No mental list of upgrades. No urge to go home and make sure. I was right. I stood there for a second, almost waiting for it to start, and it never did. I put it back down, looked at the price again, and still did not feel that itch to keep shopping. So I bought it fast. No bundle, no accessories pitch, no cart building. Just the gun and the receipt. The weird part hit in the truck. That is usually where regret tries to crawl in. The maybe I should have thought, the second guessing, the quiet shame of spending money and still not being sure. This time, there was nothing, just silence. Clear, cold silence. That is why it sat at number 2. Not because it impressed me, because it shut me up. And the number 1 pick did not just shut the noise down. It ended the whole cycle. The kind of gun that made every other comparison feel pointless and made you a little mad, you did not start there. It was late. I opened the safe, and the Glock was right there where it always is. Same spot, same finish. Looks exactly like it did the day I bought it, because lately, that is all it does. Look like it did the day I bought it. I tried to remember the last time I actually reached for it. Not at the range. Not to clean it. Just reached for it the way you reach for the thing you actually trust. I stood there longer than I needed to, and the answer did not come. The X-Macro was next to it. I already knew what my hand had been doing for months. No decision, no speech, no moment where I sat down and compared them. Just a quiet pattern that had already made up its mind without me. The Glock never failed me, never lied. It just stopped being the one I grabbed when it actually mattered, and I had not been honest enough to say that out loud until right there. That is not a review. That is just what happened when I stopped defending the habit and looked at what I was actually doing. I didn't pick it. My hand already had, and I should have noticed that a lot earlier than I did. That part I didn't like. A guy laughed at the name like it was a joke. He was holding a pricier pistol like it proved something, talking loud enough for the counter to hear. The whole vibe was money equals skill, logo equals safety. I let him talk because guys like that always tell on themselves. I slid the Stoeger STR-9 onto the bench and did not argue. No speech, no defending it. I ran it, then handed it to him and told him to do the same thing. He got quieter fast. Not because it turned into a miracle gun, because it did not fall apart the way his attitude needed it to. It shot fine. It stayed honest. It did not give him a clean excuse to laugh and walk away. That was the smart bonus. It exposed the snob tax. Some people pay extra for permission to feel right, then act like it was performance. He handed it back with that tight little smile people get when their ego takes a hit. Then he went back to his expensive gun and started talking again, just not as loud. Some of these saved me money. Some of them just saved me from that slow regret that shows up every time you hit the range. That feeling where something's off, and you already know it. So I'm curious, what's the one pistol you kept trying to convince yourself was worth it, but it wasn't? Drop the name. Say what you blamed. I'm Steve. If your gun needed explaining, you already knew.